Hello and welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at Dogecoin. Before we jump into that, I'd just like to say thank you for watching. If you are new to the channel and you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Okay, so we're going to discuss a couple of things within here. We're going to go look at a couple of the macro views that we've talked some about some of them previously, but this is a new one which I'm currently looking at the potential that we could actually have a more complex correction here as a WXYXZ. The key zone here is this red box area. Basically, this red box area, we don't want to move above this zone. Well, if we are looking for continuation to the downside, and we need to be cautious for as long as we are below this. There is always the possibility that we could be in a move that isn't completed yet. This could become an A, B, and a C, and we could actually look to push up and test some of these zones. So we're going to talk about that potential for a bigger breakout to the upside here, and we will also go over that bullish potential here. So there is a few things I want to talk about before we jump into that. Basically, the idea that we could complete into this low is viable, but the structure away from it is not great. So this is why I'm less inclined to believe that this is completed. Even if we do get a bigger move up here, we could potentially still see a breakdown at that point. And really, once we start to lose this zone here of this previous fourth wave that we have here, the next zone that would make sense to actually come back into would be this lower area here. And this is the typical support box that we would be looking for as a B wave or wave 2. And we've come down to that 0.382, which is this higher number here, but we haven't actually come down, it's very shallow if that is a completed retracement. So this is why I'm still thinking, potentially we could see a move lower down here, either towards this 50%. The problem with looking at this 50% as a target is there really isn't anything here. Structure wise. So we're going to go over an older chart in a second, and we're going to see why this lower zone would be interesting if we do actually continue to sell off and would actually make more sense in my opinion. But sometimes these things happen. We get a shallow retracement, and then we move away from it. So if I just switch over here to this other chart, let me just come out to a bigger time frame. You can see here that coming down into this zone here of this 1 cent 82 to this lower range here of this 10 cent area would make more sense as a retracement. Just based off of the fact of these structures within here. Sometimes these things don't happen and we won't come back into these areas. It is, however, possible, that we could still see a move back down into these areas, especially if this is going to become a 1, 2, and then we get a bigger move to the upside in a 5 wave move. However, if we wanted to argue that within this structure, this was a 1, 2, 3, looking for a fourth and a fifth, then technically speaking, coming into this zone here would be enough to suffice as a fourth wave retracement here. So that could then mean that in fact we're actually still within a bigger third wave move here. So we're gonna have to just give it a bit of space and see what happens. But as a 1 and a 2, it makes less sense that this is actually a wave 2 completed into these highs. So we need to just be aware there is always that potential we could see, these lower lows come in here. And it would make a lot more sense to come into this 01075 area to this 0186 region. So I'm going to get back into the count now. Basically, within this, what we're looking for here is if within this count, we would be looking for the possibility of this move being a X wave connector here, where this becomes an X wave, and then we're looking for a 3 wave move to the downside. So that 1-to-1 would actually be here at this 04342. This would be potentially looking for this as an ABC. Invalidation of this would come by crossing this X wave here at this 15 cent range. But for as long as we're below that, we need to just be cautious that we could still see some downside here. And this could, if we do have a push to the downside here, it could actually complete this move. Or alternatively, this could just be a bigger A, B, we get a flat correction, something like this, pushing up back up into these higher ranges here, and then we look to actually break down from there. However, we need to be cautious of this breaking down in a bigger way and actually heading down towards some of these lower targets here. So its golden pocket area would be this 1355 to this 11 cent range, and then really the lowest we want to come is the 786, which would be the 0.000456 region. So that would be very low if we do head down there. Obviously, we do have a channel drawn here. The low of this channel would coincide with potentially coming down to this 1236 area. So this would be of the Z wave here, of this W wave here, where potentially we're looking for this Z wave to come down into some of these key zones. So 1 to 1 would be this 3 cent 505, which once again is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. It would make more sense to me that a move down towards these lower ranges would be more likely, coming down into these highs here of this 014 area. So it could be that we do have a push up here, so we're going to discuss that in a second. The alternative way we were looking at this move is that if it's going to be just bigger a bigger move to the downside, where we're going to get this whole move as an A wave here, this is a B, and then a C. Same thing applies here. Potentially we can see this move become a bigger structure to the upside and even come up to some of these higher ranges here. We've only come up to the 0.382, which would be this 13,858. What I'm keeping an eye out here is to see whether we get a more complex move here, which potentially comes up and retests this 50% at this 19 cent, which would be coming back into these lows here. So this is something that is still viable. We just need to get back above this X wave high here of this 1589. If we do, we're going to have to see how the structure develops, because otherwise we could still see this bearish scenario to the downside here. So one of the other things that I was talking about is, if you wanted to say, okay, we completed this low, how would this move have to look to actually play out in a bullish scenario? The only way that I can make sense of it is that either you'd have to count this as a 1-2 here and an additional 1-2 here, and then basically would be in this bigger third wave. But confirmation would only come by moving up past this 34 cent range. So we need to see this move actually develop to the upside in a bigger 5 wave structure here, looking for this wave 3 to play out. So this is possible. It's not my preferred interpretation, but these things can happen. But for as long as we remain below this 15,932, we need to be careful of actually seeing that additional leg to the downside here. So I'm going to come into the smaller time frames here. This is what I'm looking out for here for a potential rejection area. So this move in itself is tricky. We can potentially count this in a number of ways. Potentially we can look at this move in the middle here as a triangle. So this is something I'm just being mindful of. If this is a triangle, it can't be an impulse. So this would be A, B, C, D, E, and then we'd have a 5 wave move complete here, and then we'd actually just look for a deeper breakdown. So this is something we just need to be aware of. If we do break these lows here, then we will have to treat this just as a corrective structure, and that would be the lows of this 6 cent 256. So we need to just be careful of that. However, I am counting this slightly different here. I'm looking for this as a 1-2 into these lows here, and then looking for that potential to actually have this as a basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So what's the key thing to do here? So if we want to look for this as a bullish move, so there's a couple of things. Basically, this move here, I was looking for the potential of this actually being completed already, where we could actually look for this 5th wave completing into here. So the structure here is a little bit strange, and basically what I'm looking for is whether we have something like this. Let me change over to this count here. So this is looking at the same thing, basically looking at a 5 wave structure. And what I'm looking at here is we've actually come up to the 1-to-1. So this is looking at this as a wave 1, 2, and then basically we've come up to that 1-to-1. We've also hit that 0.382 at this 10 cent 317. So because of that fact, it is possible we could actually have this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal, and it's completed. However, we need to be cautious because this could also just be a move that isn't completed. And really, for as long as we hold this zone here, let me just get this right. As long as we hold this zone here of this 08939 area, this could actually still be within a 4th wave, and we could see this as an ABC, and then we look to push up for that 5th wave. So that 5th wave target, some of it, well, basically because of the strength of this wave 3, sometimes we will only achieve 1-to-1 of this wave 1 that we have further back here, which is actually up into the zone of this 10.36 364. The alternate area we could look for potentially a target range would be up here towards this 0.618, which would be this 11,306, and then this 1618 up here, this 11,396. So this is something, we're going to have to just keep an eye on this and see how this plays out. But there is potential to push up a little bit more here. So we have interacted with this channel line here, and looking at this as a bigger flat correction. So if I come out here, what we need to be careful of is if we're looking at this as a bigger flat from further back here, A, B, and then looking for this as a 5-wave move for C. Potentially, we've actually come up high enough to complete it. We've actually come up to this 1, 2, 3, 6. It would be common, however, for this move to actually move up more towards this 1, 6, 1, 8, which is actually at this 12, 2, 6, 5 area. Another area of interest would be this 11 cent 11 range, and that would tie in quite nicely to this idea of coming up into this box. The thing is, within this count, if we were looking at it in this way, what I would be expecting is an additional fourth wave here. So if we have actually completed into this high, and this is a fifth wave completed here, what I would want to see is a fourth wave that manages to find support here above this 8597 region. And then we could be looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a third wave, looking for a 3-wave move down here, looking to find support in this area, and then looking to push to the upside here. The problem is if we fail to hold this 8597, it starts to be less likely that this is what's playing out. And potentially we could find support lower down here, but that support zone would be basically here at this 085 to this 077 region. If we lost this 077, we'd have to just treat this potentially as a completed corrective structure here, because by that time we would have actually broken down quite deep, and it would be less likely we're going to see continuation up here. Invalidation of this as a 5-wave move, as we have it marked here, would come in by crossing this 0777 region. So that's something we're going to just keep an eye on. If we do move down past that 077 area, then it would invalidate this additional fifth wave to the upside. If we do find support, though, again, potentially in that area that we talked about, which let me change this back now, would be this 8597 above that area. That would be a maximum I'd really want to see it come down to. Potentially we could see this move push up again for a fifth. Because of the fact that it is quite a strong move here, if we are completed here, what I would want to see is, it might not have that power to get down to this 50%. This 382 would, however, be an interesting zone because it would be back into this previous fourth wave here. So, there is that potential to see this push to the upside one more time. Going to have to just see how it plays out exactly, but we have met a minimum requirement here. So we need to just be careful. If this is just an A, B, and a C, all we have really at the moment is a 3-wave structure, A, B, and C. We don't have this fourth wave yet. If this fails to form, then potentially we could actually see this continue to the downside and actually set to push down lower. And this flat, if that's the case, this flat correction idea wouldn't really fit anymore. But that's why I'm looking out for this 5-wave move. Another zone of interest. So I've just drawn this trend line of these previous two peaks up here, this one and this one. So this also ties into our box area, and as this yellow line, we can see that we have this yellow line here. We have a couple of, there's a little bit of confluence here between this zone. So it is going to be an interesting area. Also, obviously, we have this swing high here at this 190. That could be an interesting zone of confluence as well if we do get another push up into this zone. And then we could actually look for that rejection at that point. So this is what I'm looking for here. What we would want to see if we are looking at a bullish perspective here is once we form that 5-wave move, we'd want to find support. So it's the same idea here. Basically we're looking for the same things. Let me come into the smaller time frames. Still looking for the support zone to hold, and then looking at whether this fifth wave is completed or not yet. If it does push up here, potentially this 11598 to this 10906 area could be quite interesting as well, but it has met the minimum requirement. So it's possible that this third wave is actually completed here. We're looking for a fourth, and then we could look for this fifth. But really, once we start to lose 08782, it becomes less likely. And basically then it starts to stretch out the idea of this count here, where this becomes a 1, 2, looking for a third, fourth, and a fifth here. And then if we do push up, however, so let's hypothetically say we do come back down, we get a 5 wave move up. What's the next plan here? So if we're looking for a bullish count, what we would be looking for is the potential to have a 3 wave move, potentially back into these zones of this 8685 to the 7197. So what we want to see here is if we do get this 5 wave structure here, does it just reject? If we fail to hold this 07197, basically I would be looking at those lower targets, and we could then be looking for those lows that we talked about in the beginning of the video within those bearish counts. So this is something that we just need to be aware of. There is potential we could even see another nice impulsive move up here, even up as high as potentially 12,628 to 11,706, and then still see a rejection. But we have actually interacted with this channel already. What I'd want to see if we are looking to break out in a much bigger way, because we need to be also bear in mind it is possible within this structure it could be starting to extend out, and we don't know these things in real time. Unfortunately, we only these things are really hard to cipher within the waves as they're happening. It's normally only after you get the reaction, but there is always the potential that you could have 1, 2 in here, another 1, 2 in here. This forms another 1, 2, and then next thing you start pushing up even higher, and then you start heading out towards some of those higher bullish targets. Looking for, let me come out into the daily again. Basically, looking for these higher targets here, looking for, towards this 34,620 area. But, the thing is, like I said in the beginning of the video, basically, even if we do get moves to the upside here, we just need to be careful that it's not just a bigger corrective structure. This is really our rejection zone. There are a few areas in here that have some confluence with, particularly this 50%. It has some confluence in the retest of this support zone. And if this isn't a completed corrective structure, we can still see something like this A, B, we get a move up, come back into this 50%, and then look for a sell-off at that point. And, then look to potentially come back and look to target out some of these lower areas. This 618 is a very interesting zone to me. If we do move down into that area, we'll be paying a lot of attention to it. In the shorter term, I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to see whether if we do break out of this area, we actually move up towards this trend line, move up towards some of those areas we were talking about within the flat, uh, you know, looking for the possibility that we could see some rejection in some of these areas. This, like I said, this 11 18 area is going to be quite an interesting one if we do push up a little bit higher. We have interacted with the area already, but if we do find support here or we do push up directly one more time into this 1156 to this 1089 area, we need to just be careful that this isn't just a bigger corrective structure, in which case, we're looking for that lower target in the WXY option, which is here, which is potentially towards this 04342. So that's what I can tell you at the moment. That's my best interpretation of the waves with the current structures that we do have. Need to be very cautious here. This could look to break down. So just be careful, everybody, and make sure that you're using good risk management if you are trading this. Everyone, have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.